And that board is so huge, you end up staring at it, even me on the sideline, and I have to remind myself, no, look at the game in front of you.
That was the coldest Super Bowl, I think, in the history of Super Bowls, too, that game. If I remember correctly, I was sitting next to you, and it was very cold. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mark Romig Show. In the studio today, we have a New Orleans native, a former LSU cheerleader, and probably one of the most respected sideline reporters in sports. For more than a decade, Jen Hale has covered the NFL's biggest games, built a national broadcasting career, and continued to give back to the community she calls home. And we're so glad you called this home.
Absolutely. Where else would I want to live?
Well, it's great to have you with us, Jen. Jen, you're a New Orleans native working on one of the biggest stages in sports. But tell me, what part of the city here feels most like home to you?
Oh, wow. You know, when I moved back after Katrina, I lived in the French Quarter. And boy, I loved it. It was just a great time of life for me personally, and a great time of growth for the city to be there. So I still love the Quarter to this day. Of course, it's changed now. Now I have a little girl, so I'm out in Old Metairie. But I guess if I could...
Not in the Quarter so much.
Down the road, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I look forward to one day returning to Garden District or the French Quarter. That would be my preference.
Well, you cheered at LSU, as I said.
Yeah.
And, you know, you are also now an NFL sideline reporter. What part of cheerleading helped you understand what game day is like?
Oh, that's a great question. You really did a deep dive into the resume, too. I'm very impressed. Well, first of all, I was the firstborn, and my dad had no idea what to do with a girl. So I grew up watching football with him because, you know, my dad was more old school.
Yeah.
He didn't change diapers. He didn't give bottles. So if I wanted to hang out with him, I needed to assimilate into his world. Exactly.
Watching sports.
Exactly. So I grew up loving football and the passion of football. As far as the cheerleading question, certainly you learn a ton on the sideline, regardless of what capacity you're in. The intensity of the game, the focus of the athletes, the tricks of the trade. And LSU certainly, of course, is a high-level program, right?
Yeah.
So you got to really see a lot of the inner workings and get to know a lot of players as well. It's been a lot of fun tracking the guys through the years and seeing their success as they've moved on. This will be year 16 for me on the NFL on Fox, which I really can't believe, Mark. That's crazy, isn't it?
Tell me, any situations where you were on the sideline and the action was coming right to you?
Oh, all the time, of course. Absolutely. In fact, they now have...
And how quick are you to move, right?
I try to be very quick because let me tell you, those guys are big, but they move fast. You'd be surprised.
They're coming your way.
Yes, because of one or two incidents, they now have stadium security and Fox security, two different security guards that stay with me all game. Because of course, when I do my on-camera reports, I turn my back to the field. Mm-hmm. So
someone is
watching me, babysitting me essentially to make sure I don't get run over.
Yeah. At what point? Growing up, did you realize, you know what, I could have a career in broadcast sports?
You know, that's a great question. So the sports part didn't come along till much later. I loved sports, but I didn't see it as a place for women, unfortunately. I was very short-sighted. When I went to LSU, I was a poli-sci undergrad. I wanted to be a lawyer. And LSU had a great student station, Tiger TV, and I went on as a political analyst for one of the elections, and I fell in love with broadcasting. So got a minor in journalism and then went up to Chicago, Northwestern, to get a master's in it since I hadn't done a whole lot of it. Fantastic. I credit them with preparing me so incredibly well. And so I started in news. I did news and politics my first 7 years. WAFB in Baton Rouge, WVUE here, MSNBC, and then jumped into sports down the road. And I consider it one of the greatest strokes of luck of my life that I was able to pivot and get to do
you kind of reconnected with your dad in the many weekends you spent watching sports with him, right?
Mark, it's so true. And I lost him when I was 17. So it's really cool to have that experience every Sunday. I think of him every time the national anthem plays.
Yeah. Did you have a role model, or do you have a role model in broadcasting that you emulate?
Absolutely. There are so many great examples. That's why I say I was short-sighted not to see it more when I was younger. But Andrea Kramer, Leslie Visser, Michelle Tafoya, Susie Colbert, they're just fantastic leaders, journalists. The female part doesn't really matter. They're outstanding in what they do outside of their gender, whether it's male or female.
Right. So you're on the air for several minutes during a game, but you're not on the air for maybe up to 3 hours, right? Analytically, what are you doing? I mean, you're taking your notes, you're watching some action that you're going to have to report on. What goes through your day?
Well, it's such an important point because to be a great sideline reporter, people think of the on-air part, right? What they see you deliver. And of course, that is a top priority. But the other top priority is feeding my guys information all game long. So you might not see or hear me on TV, but I'm constantly in contact
Like
with
what
them.
you might pick up on the sideline,
Correct.
overhear a conversation.
Correct. I'm the eyes and ears down on the benches, somewhat on the field, but a Fox broadcast, look, you've got a truck full of highly trained professionals. You've got a spotter, a great play-by-play, a great analyst up in the booth watching the action on the field. What I need to watch is everything around that. So they're going to come to the sideline reporter if it's something critical. You know, the quarterback starts showing signs of a shoulder injury, or your starting defensive end, he's getting his ankle worked on, limping off to the locker room. But there are a ton of other small nuances in a game that really help paint a picture that might not be worth coming to me for a report, but my guys, especially my analyst, is going to want to work it in somewhere. So, I mean, I'd say every 5 minutes at least, I'm sending them something new, telling them something new, who's changing cleats, who's switching out spikes.
And you have no filters on you. I mean, they're not saying you've got to be careful what you say. I mean, if you see something that's newsworthy, right, you're having to
I certainly
send it
approach
up
it
to the
from a
booth.
journalistic angle, absolutely. Now, there is a certain understanding of professional decorum, so you never want to speculate on an injury. Oh, you know, to me, it looks like his ankle might be sprained, or it looks like his ACL might be. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. So you do have to be somewhat, you have to use your judgment. You have to have good news judgment in those situations. Same as, you know, if you were covering politics or something of that nature, to know what's speculation versus what's fact. I stick to the facts. My analyst played at a high level for the past several seasons. It's been Mark Schlereth, Super Bowl champ, Denver Broncos, and the then Washington Redskins. He can give his opinion much more. But I am the factual part of the 3-team broadcast crew.
Right. The viewers see you on the air, but what are some of the hardest things that you're doing that the viewers are not aware of?
It's a ton of prep work behind the scenes. You know, even
like the
my
game is Sunday, so when does your prep work
Oh,
start?
Sunday night when my game ends, I start on the next one. Absolutely. You have to be prepared for anything. You might only be on the air a combined 5 minutes, but you don't know what's going to happen in a game. Mark, you've done games for years. You know that. You do all this prep work. You do all this planning. You think you know what the game is going to hinge on.
Pronunciations are important.
Pronunciations are important. And then a game breaks out.
That's right.
You know, and the starting quarterback goes down. And
there are no make-dos here.
No. The third string guy comes in and is lighting it up. And you need to know, who is he? What's his backstory?
What college he attended.
What's enabling him to have this success type of a thing. So, you know, my file is probably 30 pages long per team.
That's amazing. So you visited how many stadiums in your career?
All of them.
All of them, okay.
Yeah.
So
In the NFL,
in the
not
NFL.
in college.
Superdome is different, right?
It is
What
different.
makes the Superdome so much different than, say, SoFi or the Mercedes-Benz Dome in that other city?
I like the way you phrase that. Well, first and foremost, the fans, because it is such a part of life here. It is so critical to the fabric of who we are and how we identify ourselves. There's such a pride in our team, and you certainly don't find that connection in many places. You can find a few, but not like it is here. And then secondly, I love the old historic stadiums. I just think it means more when it's been a part of your community for so long. And of course, that's unpopular right now. The NFL rewards Pro Bowls, Super Bowls, now the draft with new stadiums. But man, to go to Soldier Field, to go to Green Bay, to go to the Superdome where so much history is unfolded, to me, that means more than SoFi. SoFi's beautiful. It's great. Jerry World, to me, it doesn't even really look like a stadium inside. And that board is so huge, you end up staring at it, even me on the sideline, and I have to remind myself, no, look at the game in front of you.
Yeah, a lot of the stadiums have like shopping malls within the operation. And are you watching the game or are you shopping, or are you watching TVs?
It's probably great for the casual fan to have a sprinkle of a lot of stuff, but for me, I love the historic stuff.
Well, back to the stadium and the experience then. You've seen fans all over the league. What makes our fans so different and so unique?
Again, the connection they feel to the players and the connection the players feel to the city. I think in a lot of cities, so many players view it as, here's where I'm coming to work, and as soon as work is done, as soon as I get traded, as soon as I move on, I'm going somewhere else. There is something about the spirit of this city. You know, the saying is so true, love New Orleans and it loves you back, that I think players, when they get here, they realize this is a second home, even if there's somewhere else that they're going to have a retirement home or whatnot, and they want to be part of the community. So there's this connection between the team and the fans that doesn't happen everywhere. Yeah. And of course, what happened post-Katrina, the message the Saints sent to the world when so many across the United States were saying, don't rebuild New Orleans, let New Orleans go. This is to have the blocked punt and to have the Saints come back to the Superdome the way they did. It sent a huge message. Most communities don't have that type of tie with their team.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time with the Saints, and what we're seeing is this thread of enthusiasm from the players, as well as what's out there with the fan base. And your preseason analytical mind, what are you thinking about the Saints going into the season?
Well, of course, everybody's super hopeful, right? Of course, I approach it a little bit more analytically,
gotta
impartially.
Be a journalist, right?
Exactly. So the big things that are gonna the season's gonna hinge on to me. Number one, of course, Tyler Shuck, fantastic last year. How much of a jump can he make in year 1 to year 2? That's always a pivotal point in any quarterback's life. But for Tyler, he didn't start last season as the starter. He wasn't on the radar screen. So how much of his success was based on, look, he was much better than people anticipated, but there also wasn't a lot of film out there on him. Defenses weren't expecting him. They weren't game planning for him. He was a bit of a surprise element. Believe you me, especially in the NFC South, these opposing defenses have spent all offseason breaking down his film, learning his tendencies, how to try to read his eyes, his body language. So how much can he adjust and up his game to match that? And same thing for Chase Young. Boy, he had a fantastic season last year. Can he repeat that? Can he build on that?
Yeah. Any other Saints that you've got your eyes on? We had a great conversation with David Edwards, for instance, who comes to us from Buffalo. He was a world champion at Los Angeles Rams. I mean, someone like that who brings such stature and the winning ways.
Gravitas, that locker room culture. This team is so young, so many 26, 27-year-old starters. I'm really glad for the Saints' sake David's here and for Tyler's, because what a great security blanket for a young quarterback to have a guy like David Edwards out there on the field, right?
He decides he's going to be in the locker,
right next to him.
Next to his quarterback, so he understands both quarterbacks, Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck.
Look, he's worked with some of the best in the business, right? So everything he's learned from them, including habits, he can help Tyler with.
Yeah. Let's talk about your work in the community. You are well regarded, and you've used your platform to support young women, heart health. I know your history there and several other causes throughout our community. Tell us about that work and what's that meaning to you?
Well, the two big nonprofits in my life are my own, Sideline Pass, and it's kind of funny how that got started. I know you've always been so kind supporting us. Thank you. Hard to believe it's going to be 11 years old this year.
Yes.
Time
Congratulations.
just flies.
Your consistency out there in the community.
Thank you. It's needed, right? I was on the board, the initial board for Son of a Saint, and they do such fantastic work. Just hats off to them. And I was so impressed by the impact they made, but was thinking, we need something like this for girls, right? So that's how the idea started. And then, ironically, I had done some volunteer work with Pierre Thomas's foundation, hosting his Celebrity Servers event back in the day. And if you remember when that...
Another fan favorite, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pierre.
Exactly. You remember when that trade went down, it really caught Pierre by surprise.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, Jen, it's time for you to start a foundation, and the pot of money I've raised, I'll leave to you. And I'm like, Pierre, I would love to. What a dream. But I'm not in a position to. I'm a young journalist grinding my behind off, down the road that's what I'll do in retirement. And he said, well, okay, I'm going to take this money up to Chicago then. And I said, well, I guess we're starting a foundation, aren't it? Here we go.
Good for you. You took the leap.
Yeah, I took the leap.
He believed in you.
He did. He's been a fantastic support system. So we started out, we do a toy drive every year, which Miss Benson has been gracious enough to give us the practice facility for. So it's this huge party, half the field's for adults, half's for kids. And these gifts go to boys and girls in group foster care homes and in shelters, because the state does not provide for Christmas morning. And every kid should have something on Christmas morning, right? And I feel like if people know that, they're going to want to participate. And it's a great way to teach young kids to give back. And I love that we're not asking for a monetary donation. So if you go and spend $20 on a soccer ball, you know it is all going exactly where we say it is. Yeah. And then we do the scholarships for academically excellent but underprivileged girls trapped in failing schools. The thought process being, because of their economic background, they're probably going to qualify for things like Pell Grants, TOPS. The problem is, unfortunately, in some schools, that primary education is so lacking that when they get to the college level, they're not prepared. They're not ready through no fault of their own. So let's put them in an environment where they can thrive. And our very first scholarship recipient is starting pharmacy school this fall. Wow. So it's really great to see.
That's wonderful. Tell us about heart health.
Yeah. So that's personally, the other huge one to me. I mentioned I lost my dad at 17. So my uncle, my father, and my grandfather all died from what we thought were heart attacks. And to me, medical knowledge, at least in my family, was so much more basic back then. They were guys, they smoked, they drank, they didn't exercise. Well, that's what caused the heart attack. Well, turns out it was a genetic thing. And when I was 36, after every NBA season, I would crash out for a week, tired. And that summer, it just never got better. It got worse. And I started waking up in the middle of the night, short of breath, all the classic symptoms of heart failure, but never recognized it. I was working a game in Charlotte, a Panthers game, and ironically, it was Rondé Barber who said, Jen, this seems like something going on with your heart. Your ankles are all swollen. You're so short of breath. You're so exhausted. And I'm like, oh, it can't be my heart. And sure enough, when I got back to New Orleans, went to the doctor, and next thing I know, I'm in cardiac intensive care for the next week. And I have dilated cardiomyopathy. The left side of my heart got big and floppy, essentially, and that's the side that pumps out the blood to the body. So that's why I was so short of breath and swelling up. I was on the heart transplant list for 2.5 years. I wore a defibrillator vest 24/7, even on the sidelines for 16 months. Dilated cardiomyopathy, unfortunately, it's a death sentence for about a third of patients. A third of patients basically need heart transplants. And then roughly another third medication works for. Medication that wasn't around when my dad and uncle passed. So thankfully, I'm in the number that medication worked for, even though my heart function was all the way down to 16% when I was diagnosed. So I feel like I was spared for a reason. And I am, again, amazed at how different my outcome is from my uncle and my dad's. There were no options back then, nothing. And now I take some pills in the morning, some pills at night, watch my lifestyle, and the doctor says I'll die with dilated cardiomyopathy, but not from it.
Well, you're modeling the way for many, many people. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, it's an important story to tell, especially for women. Yes. It's the number one killer for women, but people don't think of heart disease as the number one killer for women.
Well, thanks. Your voice is so important. All right, let's move to the New Orleans questionnaire.
All right.
We love this part of the show
I'm a little nervous because
we
how do
really
you
dig
pick?
deep into your favorites, and then we'll also ask some of your what's not so favorite, but that's something else. All right, first
Here's
question.
Where I get in trouble.
First question we always ask: what is your favorite poor boy?
Oh, I got to go parans.
Parans, and what do you eat? What do you have there?
Oh, some sort of seafood, preferably grilled. Again, the heart health thing.
Very good. I like that caveat. All right, here's one. You have an opportunity to see one New Orleans musical artist, dead or alive. Who would it be, and where would you see him?
One. Wow. Like asking a favorite child. I think I'd have to go Louis Armstrong, just because I'm sure everybody probably says that.
Well, we do get Louis Armstrong a lot.
I bet you do.
Which is fine. It's perfect.
I bet you do. So I would either like to see him, obviously, at Preservation Hall, Or if I can have a second choice,
You can.
the way he started sneaking into clubs as a young teenager, learning the business, just loving the music. Man, I'd love to be sitting there with a glass of wine, watching him as he cut his teeth and learned the business, and before he became who he was.
Or some out of the way
Exactly.
corner saloon somewhere
Yes.
in
Hole in the
Tremay or
wall.
the French Quarter or someplace like that.
Absolutely.
Very good. Favorite New Orleans smell?
Smell. Oh wow. Beignets.
Beignets. Do you have the least favorite smell?
Trash on Bourbon Street after
That is such a consistent
Mardi Gras
answer. But we know
We've
that
all been there.
they've been improving that process of late. So. Very good. All right, here's one. Mardi Gras or Jazz Fest?
Ooh, Mardi Gras.
Okay.
That's probably
Is that a
not
favorite
as
child
popular.
dancer as
yeah.
well? Yeah.
I love Jazz Fest, but I like to go one day a week.
Got it.
It gets my favorite musical festival, honestly, is French Quarter Fest.
Very good. Emily Madera would love you for that. Okay, so you're going to build your own Saints Mount Rushmore.
Ooh.
Who is on your Saints Mount Rushmore? Now, there are 4 faces on the one out west, but you can have as many as you want.
Okay, we got to start with Drew Brees, right?
Okay.
Again, I'm sure a very popular answer there. Let's go Archie. We need a defensive player, right?
What about Ricky Jackson?
Ricky Jackson would be a great one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do that.
Those are good for you. All right. Beautiful Mount Rushmore. Beautiful. All right. Gumbo. Let's go gumbo.
Okay.
You prefer a chicken or a seafood?
Chicken.
Okay. Do you do okra in your gumbo?
Sometimes.
Okay.
If I were making it, I wouldn't, but I can eat it.
Yeah. All right. You won't turn it away.
I won't not eat the gumbo because it's in there.
You've been around broadcasting all your life. What is your favorite New Orleans movie or TV series?
Oh, wow. I actually thought Tremay was really well done.
Okay.
But Streetcar Named Desire, so fantastic.
Very good.
So many classics, right?
Any recent TV series? You know, there's been one like Your Honor. Have you seen Your Honor?
I haven't seen Your Honor.
Bryan Cranston. Oh, you got to catch it.
Okay,
they
I'm gonna
do
put it on
so
my
well
list.
with showing scenes of New Orleans in the way they should be seen.
And that's the important
they're
thing,
crossing
right?
the bridge. They're really going to the West Bank, as opposed to. That's not where the lake is.
Isn't it hard to watch those or
I
the
know.
fake
It's like, no,
accents
don't do that.
sometimes
Oh,
or how they depict?
That famous one with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
Is it called The Big Easy?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. I think so.
I've heard lots of comments about that.
Or what was the Denzel Washington movie? Beautifully shot.
Is that one with the explosion on the ferry?
Yeah. But
that's
some of the scenes
sad.
you were like, that's not how it works.
People say NCIS is a beautiful show, but somebody always has to die in every series, All right,
This
here we
is
go.
true.
Let's move on. Neutral ground or sidewalk side?
Sidewalk side. I don't like to be trapped.
Okay.
Got to be able to move.
Move around? All right. Move up and down that sidewalk. You mentioned moving back to the quarter after Katrina. Moving to the quarter, after Katrina. What was your earliest memory of going to the quarter?
Ooh, gosh. So I was born here on the West Bank, and then we moved when I was a kid to Alabama. But we would come back a couple times a year because my parents made such fabulous friends here. They were originally from Arizona. So honestly, my earliest memory is because of a photograph. I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and our family friends had taken us to the quarter to the French Market area. And I was just in awe because, of course...
Did you get some beignets?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mobile, Alabama had nothing. I know they're sister cities, but nothing like the French Quarter and the French Market.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I really started to fall in love with the city, and a big part of why I really wanted to come back and go to LSU.
Could you imagine that you were actually going to be living in the quarter then?
No,
Yeah.
but it was always a dream.
Yeah. All right, here's one. Dead or alive, who's the one person you'd like to take to lunch? And where would you take them in New Orleans?
Anywhere or a New Orleanian?
It would be anyone dead or alive, but where would you take them to lunch here in New Orleans?
Okay. Well, let's stick with Louisiana folks. I would love to go back and take Lindy Boggs to lunch.
Wow.
And where would I take her?
Lindy Boggs, who represented New Orleans
Exactly.
in Congress for so many years. Her husband, Hale Boggs,
Exactly.
was, I think, majority leader at one time.
Yep. I have a courthouse named after him.
Yeah.
She did so much great work before her time, so to speak.
Sure. So where would you take
Where
her?
would I take her? For you know what? Let's do a Galatoire's Friday lunch.
Ooh.
I think she'd have fun.
I think she'd know a lot of people there, too.
Yes, she would. She'd be very popular.
All right, your favorite New Orleans song, either by a New Orleans artist or a song about
New Orleans lady.
New Orleans lady.
Yeah.
Very good. What is the one food item you can't live without?
Ooh. Fresh seafood.
New Orleans food item.
Fresh seafood. I do, obviously I travel a ton. And everybody, my crew always comment, because we're from all over the country, the crew always comments, well, Jen, I thought seafood was your favorite. And I said, it is, but not in Minnesota, not in, Kansas City. I'll wait till I'm at home.
Yeah. Do you do any, you're on the road a lot. You have a little girl. Do y'all try to have your own meals on a regular basis? And what is she like?
Yeah, that is something my mom has been harping on me about, and she's so right. I do think that family dinner time is so important. But man, it's hard. I'm not very good at it. So she's 5 years old. I will say, more so than eating together, there's just never enough time in a day. So by the time I get hers ready, I'm usually eating mine standing up, cleaning the kitchen. But we'll cook together. I'd say since she was 3, she's been cracking eggs. She loves putting the seasoning in.
Good.
She loves stirring. She gets upset if I'm making something and didn't ask her to help. She'll put on her little apron. So that's our little.
That's good time together.
Yeah, exactly.
All
QT.
right. Final question. In 5 words or less, why do you love New Orleans?
Friend, family. 2 words. Friend, family, food, music, culture.
Very nice. Thank you. Jen, thank you for spending time with us, sharing your career in broadcasting on the sideline and all the good work that you're doing in the community. You really make us all proud. And can't wait to see you on the air as the seasons start up. And I'm sure you'll be traveling a lot, but know that New Orleans will always be in your place, in your heart as well.
Well, Mark, it's an honor. I would do anything for you, as anybody in this community would, and you're doing such a fantastic job. You and your team with the podcast. It's great to see New Orleans celebrated in another avenue.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jen. Still ahead, we've got Katherine Terrell breaking down the latest from the Saints in Move the Chains. And my brother Jay Romig joins us for a 5 minutes with. Now, on the table, sponsored by Blue Runner Foods, our next guest has helped shape 2 of New Orleans' most beloved institutions, Yeo College Inn and Rockin' Bowl. He's a restaurateur, an award-winning cook, and a 2-time LSU baseball national champion. Johnny Blancher, welcome to the Mark Romig Show.
Well, thank you. It's great to see you, Mark.
It's been just a couple of days, I think.
I think so.
You grew up surrounded by New Orleans food, music, hospitality, and family businesses, right?
Yeah.
When you think back on that upbringing, what shaped you most into the person and the business owner that you are today?
Oh, well, I mean, my father and mother, primarily.
Yeah.
Dad buys a rundown bowling alley when I'm 12 years old and says, hey, go make some roast beef po' boys and sell some bowling shoes. That definitely changed things when you're growing up.
And that was the original Rockin' Bowl.
That was the original Rockin' Bowl.
Carrollton and Tulane, right?
Tulane and Carrollton had been there since 1941 and was a rundown bowling alley in the city on the second floor of all.
I remember those steps you'd have to walk up, the center steps.
Stairway to heaven.
But always,
it shaped me.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, that was family-run business, everyone working in the kitchen, behind the counter with the shoes.
Yeah.
And then you started putting the music into the play.
Saw my father take on something that was just insurmountable. I was only 12, right? So didn't have the full awareness of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But I had a sense that this was overwhelming.
And he was inspired. There was something inspiring.
Yeah, he had gone to Medjugorje, Yugoslavia. My mother had urged him to go. She had made the trip. He didn't have any money to go. The Blessed Mother was appearing there. And in his, I can remember him, he would say, allegedly, and but he went. And while he was there, didn't see any visions, but he did he came away certain that it was really happening. But he put a petition on the mountain asking for something to get his entire family involved in. And when he was back a week, some friends had asked him, hey, I heard about this business deal. You want to buy an old bowling alley? Knights of Columbus owned it, another Catholic organization. They were the ones trying to sell it, that kind of thing. He felt like he was being called to do so, and he took over on All Saints Day.
Wow.
November 1st, 1988.
The rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, let's go a little bit deeper into your family roots. Vermilion Parish, right? Cattle ranch and farm. How did that connection to the land and to Cajun and Creole food traditions shape the way you think about ingredients now and how you run the restaurant?
Yeah, I didn't know it was shaping me at the time, but I think as you get older, you start to realize that all these things that you grew up with are really important, and start to realize that there's some cultural differences between the way you grew up and maybe somebody across the country or across the world. And going to the ranch, seeing my grandfather operate a cattle ranch, seeing rice farming and soybean farming, and getting to know that, look, anybody that's ever had boudin as for breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning while they're on the way to bring the cattle to the market knows that this is a different culture.
Breakfast of champions.
So all that shaped me. The ingredients, of course, shaped how. And then, but I'm growing up in New Orleans and going and doing this maybe summertime, maybe just holiday, or asked to do it, asked to help. Yeah, I was the only son, of age grandson at the time.
Yeah, so you were tapped, but the experience has really
was great.
Placed you where you are today. Let's talk about Yeo College Inn, which has been part of the New Orleans dining landscape for generations. The previous, I remember back in the day, it was a different building than it is now. Yeah. But it has been such a beloved institution. Talk about that. How did you see that grow?
Another God influenced situation. We weren't interested or even thinking about getting into the restaurant business. We were doing food, of course, at Rock and Bowl and parties of every kind. But the seated dining, other than going to all the Brennan's restaurants and learn and seeing how they did things, it was the only experience of being a diner. Anyway, I was doing this class at Rummel High School, where I would go to Rummel, and it was the free enterprise class, and once a quarter I'd go speak to the free enterprise class as a guy representing the food and beverage industry. And this young man mentions that his grandfather's in the business. His grandfather owns Yale College Inn. And then a few months later, somebody whispers in my ear that Yale College Inn's for sale, that, hey, under the radar, it's for sale.
And this is the original building prior to Katrina.
That's right. And so it's 2003.
Right.
And I say, man, I know that kid, I reached out to the young man and found his mother. His mother said, "Oh, no, but everything has a price." So I said, "Oh, okay. Well, who do I talk to?" I think a day later we had a deal.
Wow. Wow. And at that point, Rock and Bowl was still at
right. So
in
we bought Yale College Inn, and not knowing, of course, in 2003 what was going to happen 2 years later, but we buy it, and we buy with it is a sizable chunk of real estate. There were 2 buildings and a big parking lot, and it's on Carrollton Avenue. So it was pretty exciting, positioning.
Right.
But it was also an icon, and we just felt like, look, Rock and Bowl's become an icon. I don't know anything about the restaurant business, but I feel like I understand New Orleans icons, and I have respect for it. I think we can do this. There was a little bit of confidence in that way, but not a whole lot of confidence in anything else. It was all just learning on the fly. So
as your free enterprise coming into play.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally being tested under fire.
Yeah.
So we buy and we start doing it in 2005. Katrina hits. The building itself took on water in the roof, and the roof actually caved where one of the additions were, and so we had a tremendous damage there. But we had a building next door that was in great shape and 4 walls ready to go. And it was an older building.
That was the one right at the corner?
Right.
Bearheart.
Right. And it was originally the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. It was the last small corner grocery ever built. But the Ruffin family that of course, took it from 1933 all the way to 2003, That family, had built that building. They had leased it for many, many decades, and now it became Ye Olde College Inn.
Yeah.
But it also positioned us so that we would end up really close to the old Helm Paint building. And when Helm Paint moved across the street into their new building after Katrina, we were able to acquire it and another couple of more little smaller pieces behind it. And we were able to move Rock and Bowl and get out from under a tough lease.
Right. So the old building of Ye Olde College Inn, you're not being able to work with that. You find something at the corner.
Right.
And that renovation opens in January of 2006.
Right.
And that's where you've been ever since.
We've been there since 06. I guess it was February. I think we had a pretty good birthday party and
yeah, I remember that.
A 50th.
Somebody turned 50 that year.
Right before that. Yeah.
But all right, now we talk about Rock and Bowl. It's almost impossible to describe it in just one category because it is everything. It's music. It's reunions. It's also some great pizza and mozzarella cheese sticks and some other great things.
Right.
But that has really grown into a venue that people really come to love and see some great bands.
Yeah.
And your dad's part of the impresario of that, right? He
Yeah,
puts it all together.
My dad saw a bowling alley as a glorified catering hall and had no idea how he could get the rest of the world to see that too. But he did like music, and so he decided one day after, well, you know what? There's another great New Orleans icon intertwined in this. One of my favorite bars in the world, Snake and Jake's.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave Clements, who owns Snake and Jake's, is bowling one day at Rock and Bowl with some friends. And they're playing the jukebox, and there's a song that Dave had played on the jukebox. And so one of the girls there alerts my dad, that guy's on this song. And anyway, they start talking. He says, what would it take for a band to play here? So Dave Clements ends up being the first band, Johnny J and the Hitmen. They play at Rock and Bowl, and really that is the rest is history moment, so to speak. It worked. It's continued to work. But where else but New Orleans could that even happen?
Yeah.
We're a unique New Orleans venue that happens to have bowling, live music, great food, fun food, hula hoops, girls in cheerleader outfits behind the bar, dancing on the bar at night, and my dad, of course, was the ringleader of this circus to this day, still is.
Yeah, and so many different types of celebrations have occurred there. I've been to reunions, I've been to a repast after a funeral. Yeah. It's amazing what people can do there because they feel like it's home.
Just this week, I consider this the biggest blessing. Like just this week, we had 3 repast ceremonies for just great events to celebrate people's lives. A wedding reception that was epic, just beautiful. And live music intertwined from night to night. Mixed Nuts local band had one of the biggest shows they've ever had. We had people. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
All in one week. Birthday parties.
And a bowling league too.
And
popping out somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
It is amazing.
The Happy Bowlers on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely amazing. What I enjoy about going to Ye Olde College Inn, among the many things, is that you post in the restaurant sort of inspiring sayings.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That came about from my little short stint as on the bench at LSU. I was blessed enough to ride the pine for 2 years with in 96, 97 under Skip Bertman.
Right.
And Skip always had a story to tell us. He had quotes for us. He had his own quotes. He had those that he would share with others. On our practice schedule, there would be a quote of the day, and I just kind of carried that with me the whole way after that. And to this day, I continue to, I think it's just important to put something solid in your head every day, and some sort of good thought. I think it's important to be real, to face reality, but I also think that you need to look at it in a way of, I can do this.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that experience on the national championship team at LSU. What did that teach you about teamwork and pressure and just the winning ways that you're applying to your work at Yale College Inn and Rock and Bull?
Yeah, I think I can sum it up. I mean, anything you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must absolutely come
Bertman
to pass.
Say that?
And Skip would say that.
How would he say that?
Right? See, guys, anything you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must come to pass.
Thank you, Coach.
I mean, come on. he would. He did instill that, though. I mean, we believed it, heart and soul. And he was, other than my father, he was the greatest positive influence on my life.
Yeah.
I would not trade anything for, the ability to play somewhere else and what I got there just sitting on the bench.
The impact that he's had on so many young people.
He was a great businessman, too. I learned more. It's hard for people to understand what I'm saying. That I'm saying this, but I got an MBA in the dugout with him.
Yeah. Just
watching him interact with people and how he interacted with the players who are essentially employees. And his coaching staff, and really great lessons in how every single person's a different person. And you really need to understand who it is that you're talking to. You can't treat everybody exactly the same. Yeah. Everybody's different. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about your cooking. You're an award-winning chef. You've won some major cooking competitions. When you create something new, how do you know whether you are honoring tradition or taking it kind of too far away from what your intention was? I've seen some beautiful dishes come through Yale College Inn.
Yeah, thanks.
The creativity is over the top.
Ingredients probably are what keep you from getting too far off the beaten path. Mm-hmm. I don't say this out of authority. I just say it out of gut. My gut is that if you're veering too far off of what is essentially New Orleans, South Louisiana ingredients, then you probably are taking it too far. I try to adhere to that and try to stay creative with what it is that we actually have indigenous here.
Yeah. If you're going to have a meal at Yale College Inn, not if, when, is there a go-to meal for you?
Okay, so our entree special every day, and then I know this is going to sound so cliche, but our entree special every day has a lot of thought in it, and so it's solid and usually pretty creative. So I lean toward that.
Yeah.
I'm personally a steak eater because I grew up around a cattle ranch.
Sure.
So it's been inbred in me. Meat and rice were how I grew up.
Go-to.
Rice and gravy in my household was an every single night occurrence. So I'm still a steak guy. But I love redfish. I love trout. I love speckled trout. Yeah. I'm a big pompano fan.
And you've got a fresh source.
Yeah, we bring in fish every day, and we serve that specific fish 4, sometimes 5 different ways that night, so that we make sure that fish is gone, and we're bringing more in the next night.
Yeah. Speaking of next nights, the fact that you've opened up on Sunday nights has been a game changer for y'all, huh?
It really has. We went Tuesday through Saturday, 4 p.m. through 11 p.m. for since Katrina,
Since
right?
Katrina, yeah.
And then this year, in February, on February 1st, we moved our hours from Wednesday through Sunday. And it really had to do with our neighborhood changing, evolution of neighborhoods. Mata de la Rosa Church up the street on Carrollton is thriving. They have a 7:30 Mass there, and so there's people in the corridor, and it's thriving. St. Rita's around the corner there on Lower Line and Walmsley, and
Know that one well.
we both do, right? We both love it there. Father Patrick has just really done a great job revitalizing that parish, and 5 o'clock Mass on Sunday, and it became evident to me that our neighborhood needed a Sunday option on Carrollton Avenue, so we did it.
And it's been great. It's
Yeah,
been great.
thanks.
New Orleans has lots of great restaurants, but tell me from your experience, particularly how you approach this from a service and hospitality standpoint, what separates our restaurants from other cities?
Oh gosh, I think we have restaurateurs here. We have people that are in the dining room that own and operate. They live here. They were born here in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's some that are great that were not born here, but they've adopted us and they're great. Yeah. I think that's probably the separator. They make you feel like they're on your side.
Yeah. And very much at home. I know, particularly with EO College Inn, you work the room.
Yeah.
You're in the kitchen, but you're out with Christine, and your folks are there. I mean, there's a presence there that people feel comfortable knowing that things are being cared for.
Yeah, we have family on site. Whether you're in Lafayette, Louisiana, at our Rock and Bowl there, or you're in New Orleans, at Rock and Bowl or EO College Inn, there's a family member there. It started out again in Medjugorje, my father asking for something to get his entire family involved in. Yeah. So we're going to have family because that's the whole purpose of what we're doing.
Well, there's consistency there, and also consistency in your service personnel.
Yeah.
I know you recently had to say goodbye to a longtime employee, Jimmy, who had been there for many, many years.
Yeah.
And I know people probably still come in and they're asking for Jimmy.
They always will.
But he's over in Texas and I understand doing okay there.
He is.
But I think that speaks well for just the atmosphere that's being created.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really neat.
And look, my entire family has played a huge part in, my brother-in-law and sister and my mom and dad, cousins. My wife has been a complete rock in this, and she loves being in the restaurant and working, meeting the people, getting to know people's families. It's really, really a lot of fun if you let it be.
Yeah. So what's the next chapter for the Blancher family look like?
Oh gosh, I think more of the same. Try to get better every single day at what we're doing now. We have children that are reaching ages where they're, inevitably some of them are going to be involved if they want to be. It seems like they do. I've got a married 24-year-old, and her and her husband are operating the Lafayette location, and they have their first child. So I have a grandson.
Congratulations.
So that's the greatest thing in the world.
That's fantastic.
As you know, that just happened. So we're there's future generations, and good Lord willing, we'll continue to grow with family.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Recently we had Dickie Brennan on the show, and we asked him a question, and he answered it by saying when he was out of town, when he would come back into town, he goes to one place to get a cocktail, and he mentioned the old fashioned at the College Inn. Have you had any reaction to that?
There's been more old-fashioned sold. Old-fashioned sales are climbing.
That's fantastic. Well,
God bless Dickie.
Yeah, good man.
What a great what a great family. Mark, you have a great family, and I think the Brennan family are the New Orleans. To me, they're the food monarchs of our city. Yeah. And I can't say enough about that. I thought that was one of the biggest honors I could get.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. A couple more things. Are you going to bring back the Cartwright filet anytime soon?
Yes.
Good. Speaking of steak, and so if you would mention how that was named.
Well, we had a mascot.
I love the smile that it brought to your face.
Yeah. Cartwright
Eustace.
Eustace the Fourth. Both of us considered him a friend. Passed away recently, but he we named a fillet after him because he would always get, he'd always take our fillet and alter it with spinach and mushrooms. So eventually we just got rid of the dish and put the spinach, mushrooms, and fillet on.
Yeah.
When he passed away, a little while went by. I'm like, we got to do a different dish and bring it. But I always had the intention of bringing it back. So we will be. We're actually going to probably do something where we do a prime steak special.
Oh, good.
And then alternate what steak we're serving from night to night or from week to week.
Maybe some rice with that.
Right.
All right.
Got to mix in my rice and gravy.
All right, final comment, question. Because I know kids of all ages love what you do inside the restaurant for the various seasons. Tell us about that. How did all that come together? And if you've not been to your restaurant during a holiday season, whatever holiday it is, it's worth the trip. And you've got a Hall of Fame there as well, too. So
yes,
two questions there.
Yeah. So New Orleans, I'll jump on Ron Bricata, a phenomenal sports writer here in the city for decades. Ron had created a New Orleans prep sports Hall of Fame, so all the high school stars from the generations. And he had this sitting in his garage because he always intended, one day I'll build a building, that kind of thing. And then one day he approached me and asked me, would you put this up? And so we did, and we have it. So we house and with honor the prep icons of many generations. So if anybody hasn't seen it, it's worth just strolling through and taking a look. You probably have friends and loved ones that are on the wall. The seasons though, one year, really right after Katrina, I mentioned to our other dear friend Ronnie Taylor.
God bless his soul.
Ronnie was our electrician. He was our handyman. He was a maitre d'. He was a babysitter sometimes for our children. Ronnie was Mr. Everything. Great, dynamic personality. Remembered everybody's name. Every family in the city of New Orleans, he knew their names and knew their grandkids' names. Anyway, Ronnie also was epically gifted at decorating for the seasons, especially Christmas. So I asked him one day if he could really help get us decorated for Christmas, and what transpired was something over the top. It rivaled anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Anything we've seen anywhere else.
Trains,
yes.
Santa's walking up and down steps.
Right.
Amazing.
Things spinning and lights everywhere and beautiful. So he did it, and then it became a thing, and before you know it, he was altering for the seasons and scale it down after Christmas to something smaller. But Ronnie passed away, of course, as well. A sudden, died of a heart attack. We'll miss him forever. One of my dearest friends.
Yeah.
There's not a day that goes by I don't think about Ronnie. I'm either thinking about, Ronnie would have solved that problem for me, or I'm thinking, what did Ronnie do here? I'm trying to figure out so I can fix this. So anyway, Ronnie did that. We continue it though. My wife has taken over the reins, and she's done it. She just did a phenomenal job this past Christmas.
That's beautiful. Well, look forward to many more seasons with you at the Yale College Inn and Rock and Bull. Johnny, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
This has been great. And thank you for keeping New Orleans just into wonderful cuisine, bowling, dancing, great music, and just good times.
Thank you. We're blessed to have New Orleans walk through the door every night.
You got it. Move the chains! Our next guest knows the NFL beat very well and has been covering the league since 2013. She returned to ESPN in 2023 as the Saints reporter after covering the team for The Athletic from 2019 to 2022. Before that, she was with ESPN covering the Cincinnati Bengals. And earlier in her career, she worked right here in New Orleans at the Times-Picayune, covering the Saints and even some horse racing. A Baton Rouge native and a proud LSU graduate, she brings great insight, perspective, and experience to the conversation. We're happy to welcome ESPN Saints reporter Katherine Terrell to the Mark Romig Show. Katherine, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you with us. I got to start with Alvin Kamara.
Of course. I mean, that's the elephant in the room, right?
He's back in the building. If we assume he's on the Week 1 roster, how does he and HN work? What's happening there?
Well, obviously, Kamara's unexpected appearance at OTAs was interesting, and it's gotten people talking about what that means. It kind of makes you wonder, was he there to talk to the Saints and come to a resolution, maybe a pay cut, or, what's going to happen next? But I do think that if he is on the roster, as Kellen Moore said a few months ago, there's snaps to go around for everyone, because Kellen Moore has been asked about the Achane and Kamara of it all for several months over several different events and things like that. I think ultimately it comes down to whether there's enough money to go around for both of them, but I certainly think that there would be enough snaps to go around for two very talented runners.
I mean, that would throw the defense off, right? Having those two.
Especially if Kamara's in the form that he was in a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Moore would love that. I just think that, as Mickey Loomis said, it's a matter of resource management, meaning the contract. And so I think that might take a little time to play out. But I'd be intrigued to see the two of them play together. I mean, just think about a couple of years ago when Kamara was next to Mark Ingram, and they both had amazing seasons. Granted, that was much younger Kamara, but, you never know what could happen.
Yeah. A lot of enthusiasm in his face when we saw him in the interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Kamara wants to be in New Orleans. I think a few months ago, obviously, he said he'd rather drink pina coladas than be anywhere else. I think that he knows that that's not always in his hands. So, maybe he was backing off that statement a little bit, but that's just because in the NFL, things change so much. You don't know what's going to happen week to week. And so, he can't assure everyone that he's going to be here by the end of the summer, but I think that fans would love it if they could work it out and find a resolution that makes everyone happy.
Yeah, he sure is a fan favorite. Let's go to Jonas Sanker, star position. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Sanker is one of those players that, as soon as he got here, he was an ascending player. He's been getting better all the time. We haven't gotten to see too much in OTAs, but enough that I think that he's a viable option there. I'm curious about, what they do with Blackman. Obviously, Brandon Staley really likes him too. And so that might be a battle that goes on all summer, just like a couple of other position battles. But I could certainly see him taking over that role.
Yeah, what more does he have to do to get to that point?
Keep improving, not go into a sophomore slump. I think that they just need to see that he is on his way up. But that's what this time of the year is for, to kind of test these things out and figure it out. And, just seeing what Staley did in a year coming in and, I think really elevating this defense, I'm confident that they can figure out not only how to use Sanker, but maybe use Blackman too, if he's able to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the biggest question mark in the group, I think, is what that secondary looks like overall. What are you thinking?
I think that the secondary as a whole is a position battle I'm watching, not just safeties, but also corners. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm sure we'll get to this, but also wide receivers on offense. That's something that I'm very excited to look at. But yeah, I think there's been so many changes outside cornerback over the last few years. It's kind of crazy. I mean, just a few years ago, it was a lot of more locking the outside position down. And now it kind of seems like we're going through a new phase every year. But I think sorry, I'm bringing up Dennis Allen. I think Dennis Allen said you could never have enough corners, which is correct. And so I'm kind of curious if they're going to rotate that a lot at the beginning of the summer, trying to test some people out like Riley, or if they're going to try to just put someone there and go forward with it like they did at some other positions last year.
Well, you can look at the Saints free agent signings. You've got Achane, you got Caden Ellis, Noah Fant, David Edwards, Ryan Wright, and others. What does that say to you about how the front office views the roster and what are they building there?
Well, I think the big thing for me, and also I think for them, is looking for players that can come in and be immediate leaders. I think that there's going to be a leadership void for a little bit, especially on defense, as they try to figure out how you replace a voice like Demario Davis. Perhaps how you replace Cam Jordan, I think that's still to be determined. And so they're
You
looking...
have a Justin Reed, for instance, who has, he's a proven Super Bowl winner.
But he can't be the only one. So
Right.
it's got to, they have to have other voices. And I think maybe that's one of the things they're looking for when they brought in Caden Ellis. They already know him. He was a captain in Atlanta. He's been a player on the rise. I think that they know what they're getting. I do think that he is a very different voice than Demario Davis. So how does that work in the locker room? I think it's a question we don't know yet. I get asked a lot, who are going to be the team captains this year? And it's a question I can't quite answer yet, because I think that is something that's going to have to develop naturally this summer. But I do think Ellis is probably going to be a candidate, even though he's new, just by virtue of his position and needing to take over that Davis role. But when Ellis got here, he said, one person can't be Demario Davis. It's got to be multiple people. And I agree with him. But I say that because also I believe that with Edwards. I think, he comes in, he immediately asks to have the locker next to Tyler Shuck. So if you go in the Saints locker room, on one half of the wall, towards the back, that's all linemen. All the linemen are together. They tried to put all the positions back together after they had kind of everyone all over the place due to COVID. And so he picked being on the other side next to the quarterbacks because he knows, this is my guy. I have to ride with him. And so he wants to get to know Shuck. And I kind of love that. I think it's a sign that he already has intentions about what he wants to do. He comes from Buffalo, where they've had a lot of winning seasons. He knows how this works. And so I think that's another guy that could be a potential instant leader next to Eric McCoy. I almost said if Eric McCoy stays healthy. I mean, he's a leader regardless, but that also was another big question that the Saints are going to have to answer. But yeah, just looking immediately, that's kind of what I think when I see some of those guys in additions.
If the Saints had to add another player this season, what would they target? Who would they need to bring on?
That's a great question. Probably still a pass rusher. I think that position is still kind of in flux. I know they've added some guys. Maybe they add Cam back. I'm not sure, but I think that it's not a position that is locked down. I mean, you have Chase Young, obviously, but I think next to him, that is completely open. I think Carl Granderson has been here a while, and he's done some good things, but when you look at his pure numbers, he's not a guy that you say, well, he has to be in that starting role next to Chase Young. So that is probably a position I would still look at. I think offensively, it's gone from a very sparse wide receiver room to a very crowded one, so they're going to have to make some hard decisions there. Running back, obviously, they have a lot of depth depending on whether Kamara is there. Tight end, obviously they added Fant. So offensive line, I think that they're doing okay there. So yeah, that would probably be the position that stands out to me.
Good. Going into the second season for Coach Moore, your assessment, he's coming into his second year. He seems to be much more comfortable. What do you see there?
I think so too, and I think for Moore, it might take a while for him to become completely comfortable just based on his personality, but I do think that so far the players like him. Even when you listen back to that interview with Kamara last week, he said, I was talking to Kellen on the sidelines. I have no issue with whatever's going on with my contract. And he kind of seemed to, smile and speak highly of Kellen. And I think a lot of players feel that way. I think that Kellen is also shaping this roster how he wants it to look. And it's a big change even in the year that he's got here. I think that he is kind of quietly making changes. I think the team is carrying this momentum from the back half of the season into now, and that's going to be the big question. Can they go out week one and look like they did at the end of the season? And I don't know, but I do think that he's doing all the right things so far.
Yeah. There's a lot of enthusiasm in the community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can sense it. Let's look at big picture. Saints competitive in the NFC South. You're feeling that. What about overall NFL, just competing overall?
I think it kind of depends on how they're going to get this season started. If they can get off to a good start, I think that the schedule in the middle of the season kind of evens out. I think there's 2 hard stretches at the beginning, and then there's a stretch towards the end where they play a couple of playoff teams, and that could be tough. But if they can get off to a good start, get Shuck some momentum, I think they absolutely have a chance to compete in this division. Whether they have a chance to compete outside of the division, which has kind of been just okay the last few years, I don't know yet, but I do think that it starts and ends with Shuck, and we don't quite have enough information yet to know what he's going to look like this year. I mean, I think the whole team would tell you that. I think Mickey Loomis has said it. I think Kellen Moore has said it, that, it was a good start for Shuck, and Shuck has done all the right things, especially in regards to being a leader and a good teammate, but we just have to see what he looks like in September and if he's going to ride that momentum.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for this insight, Katherine, for talking to someone that's got such a deep appreciation and understanding of the Saints for so many years. It's helping our viewers understand what we've got coming in this season.
Well, it's fun to talk about this season. It's fun that everyone's excited. It's very different from going into last season, and I think this is the most exciting and hopeful part of the year, next to the beginning of training camp, right? Yeah. Everyone's healthy, everyone's happy. See what happens in a few
How do you
months.
prepare now from here to the beginning of training camp?
This is kind of the quiet part of the year, so even when it's the off season,
you get a vacation.
Yeah, you're still going. Well, I'm going to Disney World. So,
there you go. All right.
Yeah, so I'm kind of excited about that. But the end of June to the middle of July are so quiet. It's when you kind of start getting ready for training camp. You're ready to stand out in the 95-degree weather. I don't know if anyone's ready for that, but I did grow up in Louisiana, so.
Well, maybe you'll have some
most.
low humidity where you're going to be.
Maybe I'll buy a portable fan or something. I do always love when they go to California. It's a nice break from the weather.
Break.
But
well.
Yeah, I think this is when you just gather for the season. Things you want to write about not only now, but the beginning of the season. In the middle, there's a big game on October 25th in Paris. People are excited about.
I take it you'll be there.
I'm hopeful I'll be there, but we'll see. We'll see if I get to go to Paris.
It's certainly going to be a national story, I would imagine.
Absolutely, against a team like the Steelers, too. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a team that always has a lot of eyes on them, and it's the first game in Paris. I think I've told people this a lot. I think there's no team that
And
has...
Aaron Rodgers last year,
yes,
apparently, right?
Well, so he says. We'll see. But there's no team that has the cultural significance or cultural ties, I believe, as the Saints do to Paris. So I was going through all the games, and I mean, I just don't think you can find a better match for a team to play the first game in Paris. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Perfect sense.
Looking forward to it.
Perfect sense. Well, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Look forward to having you come back to talk more about the Saints and just how we're making it through the season.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Katherine.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest knows the New Orleans Saints from a perspective very few people really get to see. For nearly 5 decades, Jay Romig has been a part of the Saints organization, helping game day happen from behind the scenes, from the Superdome to the road, from regular season, those Sundays that we all know about, to playoff presentations, and really so much more over at the Saints facility. He's also someone who grew up in a family, I know this well, where sports were more than just a pastime. They were part of the rhythm of life. Here to talk Saints, game day, family, and a lifetime around sports, please welcome my brother, Jay Romig. Jay?
Mark, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Just saw you yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Let's start off with this. You've been with the Saints now for 49 plus years.
It's my 49th year right now. Yes.
You're in your 49th year. When you got that first call, you were at the University of New Orleans, I believe. How did that all come about?
I was a student trainer finishing my senior year at the University of New Orleans, working with basketball and baseball, and good friends with Dean Kleinsmith, who was the head trainer for the Saints. And they were looking for someone to come in and fill a 2-week internship for summer camp for some of their people that were going back to school. So I was available, and I met the team at a preseason game at the Superdome that night, Saturday night in August of '77. Flew back with the team to Vero Beach, Florida. It was going to be for 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks turned into, hey, can you stay for the season and help us during the season, help the equipment guys and help the trainers? And all I had to do was just student teach at UNO. So I said, yeah, I'd love to. I had no aspirations of working in the NFL. I love sports, but that season, 1977 season, Hank Stram was the coach. Season ended, and Dean said, "Hey, can you stay for the off season and help us with rehabs and just stuff around the office?" I said, "Yep, I would love to," and I've never left.
You never left.
So they turned into the 78 training camp in the 78 season, and it just I've been there ever since.
But growing up, Brother Martin High School, the University of New Orleans, which is becoming LSU New Orleans, did you ever think that this would be your life's work?
No, not really. I wanted to teach in high school, education, physical ed, biology, and be a trainer for a high school, and that just never. I never taught. I taught gym rompers, but I never taught any kind of. But no, I never thought it. But it's been awesome. But growing up, we were, as you mentioned, Dad had us and Mom that we were a sports family, just big sports fans. Dad, with his days at WDSU and the newspaper before that, was a big sports fan, and we went to as many sporting events as we could in the city, and we played catch in the front yard, in the backyard. We had a wonderful neighborhood in Lakeview with a bunch of young guys that we played ball with every day, did different things in the street. That's where we played our games, right on Marshall Faux Street, and it's kind of started from there.
Yeah. Take us for a moment. This just memory came to me. Dad's announcing the first Super Bowl game in New Orleans. It was Minnesota and Kansas City.
Kansas City, yep.
You were in the house controls with Dad.
Well, I sold programs first. I used to sell programs at Saints games and Super Bowls, and that was 1970. So I used to sell programs at Tulane games, I said, and Saints games. But I was up there for that, yeah. That was the coldest Super Bowl, I think, in the history of Super Bowls, too, that game.
If I remember correctly, I was sitting next to you, and it was very cold.
Yeah.
It was not a heated house controls.
Well, it wasn't really house controls.
Attached underneath
It was a booth attached to the upper deck at Tulane Stadium.
You've got.
It wasn't like house controls that we know now.
No, it's not like house controls now, where they have a catering area as well. Tell me, your job at the Saints, it encompasses so many things. Take us through what you do on a daily basis.
It's a lot of logistics now. It's administrative stuff with I'm sort of out of the training part, more with I did computers for a long time. It's just so much things every day. Like today we have 35 new employees starting, our associates today, involved in that. A lot of logistical stuff for the Saints and Pelicans that we do at the facility. Game day, I still do the scoreboard. I kind of meet with the officials with some of their stuff. It's just so many different things.
Yeah.
I still assist a little bit on the road. I don't do the team travel anymore, but I still assist our team travel staff, our Derek Stamos and his staff, on things that we do for them. So it's just planning for events, different things.
Yeah. Take us through what a day like is for you, say on game day. I know you're there very, very early, and you're usually there very, very late. But what does that day look like?
It's just game day is just mostly just getting there early. In the officials' locker room with the radios they use, and just kind of just hanging and just helping our operations staff if there's any fires, and then doing the when the game starts, I'm doing the scoreboard, and after the game, it's just I could be called to do just run if something happens, that things that I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
After the game, it's the same thing. Go get to the officials' locker room, get the radios back, and then just just back into our area and just meet with see everybody and just see if everything went okay.
Yeah, you mentioned scoreboard. Explain to the viewing audience, what do you do?
The scoreboard is just the down and distance and the points and that kind of stuff that we keep up with. We don't fool with the clock. Many times people are yelling. Yeah,
the officials got the clock.
Got the clock.
The officials got the clock. Let that be clear.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's as you know, that is a very hectic.
It's a great
house controls.
It's very hectic house. There's so much goes on in there, from what you do, from the music, the everything, the levels of the music, the levels of the cheering and stuff like that. It's all coordinated, all the ads, all the everything. It's a wild day.
Tell me, one thing that has to happen behind the scenes on game day that most Saints fans would never think about. What's one thing that has to happen that people are just not really thinking about, but it's got to happen?
I mean, there's so much that goes on in the building. It's a business. I mean, from our ticket sales, from all the activations that our marketing and sponsorship departments have of different different activations outside of Champion Square. It's more than just coming to a game and cheering and seeing your favorite team, seeing your favorite players. But there's so many people that have so many responsibilities there. The different things we do, like 50-50. Just program sales. It all ties in the merchandise that's sold by the building. Everything's tied into our operation. And then for us, it's just getting the players there, security. You got to go through now with the winding, the clear bag policy, everything. It's become a whole the dogs looking at the cars as they come in. It's just security is a whole other operation too.
It's huge. I would imagine because the Saints have always been highly regarded as a fan-centric type of organization, we were always getting praise from polls and so forth, surveys about the fan experience.
Oh, it's definitely one of the best in the league, and it's getting better. And the things that our administrative office, led by Mrs. Benson, Dennis, and on that side, what they've done at Champion Square, and and the plans they have, it's gonna get only better.
Yeah, I know you carry a lot of keys. People say that you've got the most keys in the building because you just probably know where every door is.
Not in the Superdome, but maybe at the facility.
in the facility. Well, those are very important keys, I can imagine. Take us through what it's like when the Saints win and are going to the playoff. Does that change the preparation to go to the next city for a playoff?
It does for our game, for that staff. They do, as the season goes on, and you start and you're winning more games. You work with the league. We have, our travel staff and our game management staff for that. It does get a little more complicated because then they have to start looking for hotels. They have to, they have to work with the airline, and stuff like that. So it does kind of looking at down the line, who you may be playing, where you may be going, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Give us a sense of the coaches that you've worked under. You said you started with Stram. Coach
Hank Stram, yeah. It's funny, some of the players who come now, some of the younger players, they'll ask, hey, Jay, who was here when you were first here? And I'll say Hank Stram, and they'll say, who's that? So some people don't know who it is. It's kind of funny. So Hank Stram, Dick Nolan, who was a great guy from the Cowboy that frame in San Francisco. His son, sons work with us too. Who else? We had Bum Phillips, Mike Ditka, Jim Haslett, Jim Mora. Mora was here long. We had Mora's staff was here like 11 years.
Wow.
Sean Payton, of course. Sean was here forever. I mean, we had two long staffs, which is it's really kind of unheard of in NFL football. Mm-hmm. I mean, so many assistants, and of course the owners, John Meekum and Mr. Benson, and now Mrs. Benson, general managers, Jim Finks, Mickey Loomis, both great people. We've had, it's been wild.
Yeah.
And another thing I was active in, and I still do a little bit, but it's changed. Like it's training camp. I used to kind of oversee training camps, and we had some great training camps. We've been to La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is pretty neat because you're by the, where the Mississippi River begins. It's kind of neat to be up there.
And it's very cooler, I would imagine.
It's much cooler.
Cooler in
much
the summer
cooler.
there. What was the hottest training camp you've ever had to go through?
Nickel State was pretty hot. At Thibodeau was pretty hot. Maybe Southeastern in Hammond was pretty hot.
Was there a Millsaps?
Millsaps was pretty hot. That was 3 years up there. Jim Morris. Sean Payton's first 3 years. That's after Katrina. That was pretty hot. We've had with New Orleans, it gets to be pretty hot too.
Yeah.
Had some hot ones here too.
Yeah, I know that's an exciting time when the fans can get out to the training camp, to the facility on Airline Drive to
Yeah,
participate.
our game experience people, our marketing and sponsorship, the ops people have put on a great show out there.
Yeah.
I can't forget about Greenbrier too. 3 years at Greenbrier.
Yeah, because they
And that
kind
was a little cooler. That was
and they sort of retrofitted that facility for you.
they did for the Coach Payton had become friends with the owner of the Jim Justice.
Own the
owned the
resort.
Yeah, he owned the resort. He's governor of back then West Virginia, and he's an interesting fella. And he says if it's one of these things. If you build it, we will come. And he built this beautiful facility next to the resort, and we spent 3 years there. It was interesting.
I heard the rooms were very nice.
It was flowery rooms, and it was kind of different. It was definitely different, but it was a beautiful look. It had a casino which we couldn't use, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, well, at least not during the
Yeah.
season for sure. Tell us about your family and my nieces and nephews.
I have 2 daughters and a son, and a grandson now by my oldest daughter, and the kids are great. And I'm not going to get into the
I'm not going to ask you for your
here
favorite.
with like you did,
I'm not gonna
Mom.
ask your
My favorite child. They're all my favorites.
But who's your favorite grandson?
My favorite grandson right now is Mason. Mason J. He's awesome. He's 11 months old.
Walking.
Walking, and he's a mess.
Has he been to a Saints game yet?
No, he hadn't been to a Saints game yet. Oh, he was in Chicago last year when his parents came to a Saints game in Chicago last year, but he has not. He'll make his first one this year.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be
Yeah.
running on the field.
Yeah.
Good.
But all 3 kids are great. They're all active. They're active growing up. The girls played soccer. Blake was active as a manager and at Brother Martin and at Delgado, and he's a golfer. So
Yeah,
it's all good.
it's good. He was assistant golf coach at Brother Martin.
Brother Martin, yeah.
Yeah, and did some work at Chateau
Yes.
as well. That's great. Growing up with Dad, and like you said earlier, we're kind of a sports family. Our Sundays were always around Saints. Saturdays were around Tulane, and with Dad's activities as a sports
And then
writer.
Dad was he was our coach at CYO softball and stuff like that
Yep.
at St. Dominic's. We're always busy there. Just going to events, It's kind of a funny story going back to the Saints and Dad and stuff like that. So my 8th grade graduation party, Dad, it was been 1967 or 60, I don't know, the year from St. Dominic's, but the Saints was first year was 67, and for his ties his ties with WDSU and the Saints and stuff like that, he was able to get Billy Kilmer and Danny Abramowitz to come do a drive-by
to the backyard.
at our
You just brought back a memory, and
At
you
our-
were
at our-
you were
my-
big time on that block.
Well, I was and I wasn't because the same day we had scheduled this party this afternoon, whatever afternoon it was, one of the girls in the class had a girl-boy party for 8th grade, and I guess word got out that these 2 Saints players were going to come to our party, and none of the guys went to the. So it was not a good situation for a
so
couple.
you got some
couple
girls
days.
upset with you.
Yeah, but the boys had a great time with Kilmer throwing passes to everybody in the front yard, and Danny,
That's pretty
I
cool.
still remember that. It was good times.
Yeah, I would imagine your love of sports came from Dad for
Yeah,
the most
it
part.
was, yeah.
That's terrific. What's one sports memory that still sticks with you, besides Bill Kilmer and Danny Abramowitz?
The whole we went to the Astrodome when the Astrodome first was built, and walking in there and seeing that was big. I went to an All-Star game there with a baseball All-Star game there when I was younger. But just from growing up, probably the whole Super Bowl experience for the Saints. From winning the NFC Championship game in the Superdome, all the hype and preparation we did for the trip to Miami. We did that trip to Miami with having the family there, and on like the Saturday before the game, Coach Payton let all the male football staff, like coaches and myself, trainers, anybody that was involved in the trip, bring their sons to practice on the bus. And there's a picture, Blake and I going there, and walking in the stadium. That whole week, the course of the game, that whole day. The whole day was wild. We had a big mass. Mrs. Benson said a mass. Mr. Benson and Mrs. Benson at the hotel where we had like over 1,000 people at. All the Saints fans in the city, winning the game, and then of course coming back in the Super Bowl parade that Tuesday night. That after the game was.
Yeah, my understanding is that the night we beat Minnesota for the NFC Championship, you were on a plane that evening.
No, we were.
Oh, was it the next day?
The next day we went just for prep for.
But is that quickly? I mean, you just
you
jumped
do.
right
Yeah,
into
you do.
preparation.
Yeah, for the advance. Yeah.
I would imagine you're going to have that same excitement coming up in France when the team.
But we
goes.
got the whole organization is getting ready for that.
And
it's gonna
all
be
the
nice.
enthusiasm in the community that,
it's
that
gonna be
you're
great.
picking up.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, it's going to be a good time. I appreciate you being here, and happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing your joys and adventures of the New Orleans Saints with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Deeply appreciate it.
Okay.
Go Saints.
Who dat?
All right, Jay. Thank you. All right, as usual, a lot going on in New Orleans this week. Let's go to April Dupre to give us what's happening this week in New Orleans.
Thanks so much, Mark. Here's where to eat, drink, and play this week in New Orleans. Macbeth opens at the Lupin Theater at Tulane University on Friday, so if you're headed uptown, you've got plenty of good spots to hit before the curtain goes up. For something polished and poised, Osteria Lupo on Magazine is a great move with Italian dishes that feel familiar but still have a little twist. If you're in the mood for Jamaican flavor, 14 Parishes is an easy ride or walk from campus. And if you want something that feels like old New Orleans in the best way possible, Frankie and Johnny's has been serving up fried seafood, po' boys, and local classics since 1942. You can also keep it casual at Lebanon's Cafe or make it a full night out with Clancy's, Petois, Giacomo's, Lillette's, or Le Petit Grocery. It's officially snowball season, and in this heat, you gotta work quickly. Start with Hanson's Snow Blizz, one of the city's most iconic snowball stops, known for soft ice, house-made syrups, and a flavor list that covers the classics and then some. Plum Street Snowballs is another old-school favorite with a neighborhood feel and flavors that keep people coming back often. If you want something a little more new school, Chance and Hell in the Bywater is having fun with small batch flavors, seasonal combos, and a very strong name. In Mid-City, Sweet Things by NOLA Sips goes big with designer snowballs, boozy options, and signature flavors like strawberry cheesecake and nana pudding. Near City Park, Pandora's is a great stop for classic snowball flavors, concession treats, and an easy summer outing. You can also count on Imperial Woodpecker to deliver sweet satisfaction with locations around town that make it easy to work a snowball stop into your day. New Orleans is a city of makers, and this week is a good time to plan something hands-on. At the Bead Shop on Magazine, you can drop in and make your own jewelry, sign up for a class, or plan a whole beanie party. Wix NOLA brings candle making to you so you and your crew can customize your own scent and walk away with a candle and a room spray. If you're operating in full artist mode, check out classes at the Ogden Museum of Southern Art, New Orleans Academy of Fine Arts, or even Freaky Friday Figure Drawing, which mixes sketching, live jazz, and a candlelit atmosphere. And if you're really ready to commit, try glass blowing with Glass Blower Ben, metal smithing with NOLA Metal Works, pottery at Bellyfire, or sewing classes at Brick Rack. For more information on where to eat, drink, and play this week, visit neworleans.com. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, April. A lot going on in New Orleans. Let's take advantage of all the great things happening. And now something that's positively New Orleans. I do not think I would get much of an argument when I state that there aren't many, if any, institutions in Louisiana that unite people the way the New Orleans Saints do. Since its founding on November 1st, 1966, the Saints have been far more than a football team. They are a source of pride, identity, and hope for our city and our state. On game days, black and gold becomes the common language of Louisiana, and the Caesar Superdome becomes everyone's common neighborhood. From New Orleans to Shreveport, from Baton Rouge to Lafayette, and across the Gulf Coast, families gather together, friendships are strengthened, and communities rally around a team that represents the resilience and spirit of our people. The Saints remind us that no matter where we come from, we are all part of Saints Nation. And the impact of the Saints extends far beyond the playing field. The organization, both on and off the gridiron, generates significant economic activity through tourism, hospitality, jobs, and the national and international exposure that shines a spotlight on New Orleans and Louisiana. When game day arrives, hotels are filled, and restaurants, bars, attractions, and retail are busy. Downtown and the outlying areas come alive with visitors who come to experience the unique culture of our city. But perhaps the Saints' greatest contribution is found in their commitment to the community. Generations of players have used their success to make a difference off the field, supporting education, youth development, health initiatives, and countless charitable causes. They have understood that wearing the Saints brand means serving the community as well as representing it. It is part of their collective mission as ambassadors in black and gold. And of course, no moment symbolizes that connection more than bringing the Lombardi Trophy home following Super Bowl 44. That championship game played in Miami was about more than football. It was a moment of joy and validation for a city that had overcome extraordinary challenges of Katrina and showed the world what perseverance looks like. Today, we look forward with the same optimism. In several weeks, the Pro Football Hall of Fame will induct Drew Brees as an esteemed member, joining fellow Saints alumni like Ricky Jackson, Morton Anderson, Willie Roaf, and the late GM Jim Finks. A new season always brings renewed hope, and there is tremendous excitement surrounding Coach Kellen Moore as he begins his second year leading this franchise. We are grateful for the unwavering commitment of Mrs. Gail Benson and the late Tom Benson, whose investment in this team and this community more than 40 years ago established a culture built on excellence, determination, and a belief that winning matters. As another season approaches, we celebrate not only a football team, but a Louisiana institution. The Saints give us memories. They give us pride. They give us reasons to come together, and every year they give us something priceless: hope. To quote my mom, Janice, there are really only two seasons each year: Saints season and waiting for Saints season. So, no matter the season, we will always proudly say, "Move dem chains." And that's positively New Orleans. That's our show for this week. Thanks to our incredible guests and to all of you for watching and listening. And a special thanks to our sponsors, Blue Runner Foods, New Orleans & Company, our friends at Visit the North Shore, and their podcast, All the Waves. Go check it out. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for all of our new videos. We'll see you next week.